Hi everyone, I'm Amy Carmo, and I'm your host for Breathe TV, a sacred space to exhale while you're navigating your breast cancer journey. Today our topic is really about the importance of science in the breast cancer journey, but I always say you cannot discuss science without discussing the soul of those who are part of that journey. So we have to marry science and soul when we discuss healthcare, life care, and cancer care. So if you're watching right now, you may close your eyes for a moment, and I'm going to guide you through a very, very short sound bath. Close your eyes and repeat after me. I embody love.
I embody love.
I embody light.
I
I embody light.
I embody peace.
I embody peace.
I am grounded.
I am grounded.
I am grounded.
My breath is calm.
My breath is calm.
I am in my breath.
I am in my breath.
I am in my body.
I am
In my body.
I deserve this life.
I deserve this life.
I am here.
I am here.
I am here.
I am bold.
I am bold.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I am magic.
I am magic.
I am free.
I am free.
You open your eyes now. So before we go into the science of breast cancer and have you beautiful women share your stories, I want to know more about you. So I want to ask Latoya to share her perspective about her breast cancer journey. And then we will be asking Kim, and then we'll go from there.
So my name is Latoya Bowles Johnson, and I am a certified emergency medicine physician assistant. And I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer at the age of 36 years old in July 2021. I just finished chemo, about 16 weeks of chemo, and I am now a month post-op from a double mastectomy. I still have a long journey still ahead of me in my breast cancer diagnosis, and I am definitely at a better place with it now than in the very beginning. I've definitely processed that I have breast cancer, and now I'm just in a stage where I just want to spread advocacy and awareness so that I can help other women with early detection and preventing such a latent breast cancer diagnosis.
You mentioned in your bio that you wanted to be a healer. Can you share that with us, more about what you mean by that?
Absolutely. So I knew at the age of 4 that I wanted to be a healer. I went on a field trip to Charity Hospital in New Orleans, where I was born. And at that time, I knew that I wanted to be, a practitioner of medicine or physician. With my breast cancer diagnosis in the very beginning, it challenged me because I felt a very weak stage of vulnerability and felt like I had been defeated because I'm not supposed to be the patient. I'm the healer, I'm the provider, I'm the clinician. How did this happen where I'm on the other side of the spectrum being the patient? And so it's something that I still struggle with. But after maybe 2 months after dealing with my breast cancer diagnosis and processing it, I said, you know what? Although I'm not on the first line right now, actually providing direct care to patients, I said, I am going to start spreading awareness online and posting videos and, start help educating women and men that, listen, this is breast cancer, this is what it looks like. It can happen to you at such a young age, and it's time for us to take a stand and self-advocate, examine your breast, and get early mammogram screenings that could definitely make a tremendous impact on your life.
Did you find that having the patient perspective gave you something magical too? I mean, I know that breast cancer sucks, right? Trust me, I'm triple negative, I get it. But I've heard some physicians say, like Dr. Lori Wilson, who is on our medical advisory board and a good friend, she's a Black woman, a female oncologist who had breast cancer and now is metastatic and has been on clinical trials. And she says that now she knows intimately because she's embodied with that. She's had the journey. Do you find that having become a patient and having the medical background as your practice gave you different perspective?
It has given me such a different perspective. I do know Dr. Lori Wilson. I was on the speaking panel with her about a month ago, and she was actually one of my preceptors when I was attending Howard University. And she's such a phenomenal person overall. And it just makes you just look at everything differently. The way I can best explain it is, before I became a mother, I didn't quite understand why some, parents will come into the ER, so dramatic and erratic about if their child fell and bumped their head and have a little nugget on their head. And I'm like, it's okay. It's just, it's just a little fall. But when I became a mother and my child did become ill, I then understood why parents felt the way they did when they brought their kids to the ER, whether it was a scratch or a bump on the forehead or whatever it may be. It's the same understanding that I have now. And it makes me even feel more that I have to advocate for patients even more, because I understand the medical side of it, but then I also understand that there's such a void in patients' voices. And that patients sometimes may not know how to formulate what they need to articulate for their providers to understand them. So I feel like it's now I have this heavy burden, or I have a duty to actually, speak for patients and educate them on how they should speak for them, and let them know, listen, you don't need to be intimidated by a provider's credentials or physician. You know your body better than anyone. I don't care what their credentials are. And if you feel that something is not right, if you feel there's a lump, regardless if you're 29 or if you're 49, make sure that you get the proper treatment. Make sure that your provider orders a mammogram for you. So I feel it is my duty to basically cheerlead, be the biggest cheerleader on the sidelines for patients now, being a PA in the healthcare provider world and also being a patient as well.
Before I had my daughter, when I was driving to work and I get behind a school bus, I'd be like, oh my God, they're so slow. I'm going to be late to work. And then once I had her, oh my God, because your heart's on that bus. So once you transition to becoming that mother, even as an advocate, your sister's on that bus, you got to get on that bus with them or follow the bus or get in front of it to be able to help them through that process. Thank you for sharing that so much. I'm going to go to Kim now. Can you share your story with the viewers?
Yes, I am Kimberly Wyatt, and I've been diagnosed twice. I had stage 2 ductal carcinoma with HER2 positive, ER negative, and it has been a long journey. Because I was just 36 when I was diagnosed. My kids were, teenagers at the time, and we didn't know. No one in my family had cancer before, and I didn't know anything about it. I believe that I had it at least 2 years before I was actually diagnosed, because I felt the lump. But then I did go to the doctor, and the doctor told me, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just don't drink any like caffeine products, or don't, eat chocolate and things like that." So I did. I'm thinking the doctor knows best, didn't get a second opinion or anything. I was like 33 or 34. And so it just kept getting bigger. And one of my good friends, April, one of my best friends, she told me to just, push on the doctor, like, get the mammogram. And I didn't. I just figured that he had my best interest. And I went home. I went to New York, and I went to the doctor. I went to a Planned Parenthood for something totally different, not the lump at all. And then next thing you know, they're like, okay, the lump isn't supposed to be here. We have to send you to get some scans or, just to get checked out. And they did. I went like a couple days later, and then I had a biopsy, I had a mammogram, I had an ultrasound, all of these things in one day. I didn't know what was going on. I felt like it was a whirlwind. So it just took everything away. I was really, really shocked. I didn't know. I said, no, I don't have it. And about 2 days after that is when it kind of just hit me like a ton of bricks that I had cancer. And people don't realize that cancer patients go through a lot of different emotions and feelings, even, leading up to the actual surgery or chemo. The initial diagnosis itself, it just feels like you got hit by a truck.
You said so much just now. The way I describe it a lot is that I feel like you're on a plane going on a destination. You're going to visit France, and you have your translation app, whatever, and you land someplace. It's not where you plan to be. It's a different country. The language is different. Your app won't translate for you. And then, by the way, there's bombs going off everywhere around you, and you just you don't know what to do. You can't think. Your heart's pounding. Every sense you have is like shut down, kind of. You can't hear. You can barely see. You come out of your body, you dissociate from yourself. Your brain isn't working, and then you're being asked to make these important decisions. Cancer is it's a violent thing. It just disrupts your life, and it's hard to stomach. And we really got to stop talking about it. It's just this thing that happens, and you wear pink, and you're fine, and just a lot of BS. I mean, it's important to be empowered, but it's really a hard thing to stomach. And so this is what you're feeling. I want you to talk about how you're feeling. Because you're still in it, right?
I'm a little bit out, a little less than a year, maybe about 8 months at least out of the radiation that I had. And that was the end. The diagnosis itself is a lot. And then all of the surgeries, then the chemo, it's like you're being shot up in the air like a slingshot, and then you just land where you land. And it's like, you got to get up and dust yourself off. Am I okay? And then, just trying to go back to some type of normalcy. And it's a lot. And then the people around you, they expect you to be the person that you were before the diagnosis, but you're dealing with a whole nother person, because the people around you, they just look at you and they, think you're the same person, and you are, but you're not. Like, I just found out I had cancer, and then they're automatically, looking at you like a charity case.
I really appreciate you sharing, because this spaces. That's why I began with the sound bowl and the meditation, because it's not about just cancer. It's about the person in the body. Your body betrays you in a sense, right? It's like your innocence is stolen from you in a sense. And then for me, I'll be honest, I'm going to share the truth. It put death in my mind. Like, death was like right here. I'm like, I could die. It took me a long time to live not worrying about dying. Then I have friends getting diagnosed all the time, and I'm here and they're dying. I had to see a therapist for a long, long time. I still see a therapist. Your life has changed. You have the cancer cells. It's kind of like a wars in your body, right? And then you change, but all the people around you see is your face looks the same. They want you to be okay. So they tell you that you're strong, that you're empowered, you're going to get through this. But you just don't know. And you're scared, and there's decision-making processes. So it can be very, very lonely for a woman going through breast cancer. And I love my family and friends so much, and they came around me, but they could not understand what I was going through. I've also often heard it say that you could be at a party where people are around you and there's fun and music going on, and you feel lonely in the room. And that's how I felt for a long time. That's why, for me, building this space of angel advocacy and patients of color and people of all colors coming together, but giving Black women their unique space is so important, because although we exist for every woman who's young, we wanted a space to have Black women with different cultural, ethnic needs to come to, because it's hard. And there's the dichotomy is that cancer is this warrior thing, but as you find your voice, you don't have to separate the two, because your vulnerability is your power.
Thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And I just want to, pick it back up a little bit and just say that, cancer did, change my life for, I was able to turn the lemons into lemonade. I had a whole change with my business, my career. So, and then also I host a radio show, and, I meet so many terrific people like yourself and Latoya, And it just had me more spiritual. The Lord is always continually blessing me, and I know that I'm here for a reason, because 2 times, Latoya, yourself as well, hey girl, sis, that's that magic. So just want to empower all women that are going through the breast cancer, and even the newbies, to let them know that it's going to be okay. And just say, you gotta do what you gotta do. Just no matter what, every day, get out of bed, take a shower, get dressed, and some affirmations in the bathroom.
It's important to feel your feelings, but then you got to get up and keep moving. Speaking about which, though, the human connection is so important in cancer care. Talk about why, although we have a lot of research around cancer care and developing treatments, why is the human connection so important with your healthcare team and with the people that you love, like your friend April, who helped you to get the mammogram in the first place?
If it wasn't for people encouraging me to, continue to move on, then I wouldn't even be here. Also, just by the grace of God, I'm just so happy to have hope. It's the most important thing. Faith and hope. And my kids, my caregivers, they're my best friends now, so they encourage me and they help me a lot. So just the human connection, you need that on a daily basis. If it wasn't for, certain people, just my kids mostly, I want to say, and my mom, you need to have someone, because like I said, some days you won't get out of bed, that you will not get out of bed, because you just feel like you want to give up, like that's the end. I don't want to do it anymore. And then the funny thing is, I've been wearing wigs since, I don't know, late 90s. So way before the cancer diagnosis. I love wigs. So I had been wearing wigs since before that. And then the next thing you know, my hair was long because I never really wore it, but I, washed it all, kept it clean and neat underneath. But when I had to shave it off after the first round of chemo, it was devastating. And then I had no choice, because I felt like I had to wear a wig. I had no choice. It was so many patches. I had no choice but to shave it off.
When you have a choice, it's different than when you don't have a choice. You mentioned how when breast cancer happens, there's a lot of things to consider. There's the emotional effects, there's the physical side effects, there's the hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, all of that. With Latoya, you're a certified ER physician, right, assistant, and you have a decade of clinical experience. So you had a medical background. How did that help you navigate your cancer care journey, the medical part of it, and then the emotional parts that Kim just talked about?
Yeah, so with Kim, with her testimony, just kind of is reliving some emotions within me as well, because it is a very traumatic experience that we all are going through. But bridging a gap between being a PA and a patient, I'll just be very honest with you. An incident that recently occurred with my oncologist that I had to basically fire, and I got a new oncologist now. She's a woman of color. The experience has definitely grounded me and to let me know at the end of the day, you can be, PA, physician, nurse practitioner, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, if you're not with the right oncologist within the right clinical setting, that incident let me know at the end of the day, I'm still a Black woman. The reason why I'm saying that in some background is because I was just diagnosed a few months ago. I'm so more so like a newbie in this cancer journey, because it's been less than a year. And there has been, immunotherapy with a drug that is newly developed for triple negative. And with us having the most aggressive form of breast cancer, you just want to kind of just throw everything but the kitchen sink that you can at triple negative breast cancer. And with me having stage 3C, I am pretty advanced. And so this drug was available, immunotherapy was available at the time that I was diagnosed, and it was never given to me along with neoadjuvant chemo. When I found out about it after attending the San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium and doing some research on my own, and had a discussion with my oncologist about it, and it was just kind of like, no, we'll address that after surgery. We'll address that after surgery. You don't need that right now. It was just kind of brushing me off. And I recently was really going through a depressed mood myself because I was faulting myself. I'm like, first of all, how did I let this happen with me having breast cancer at, so advanced? With me being a PA, I'm like, I'm checking my breast, like, how did this happen? And then the situation happens, whereas I'm not getting a certain medication that can show that I would have like a pathological complete response, having my immune system basically boosted to help fight those cancer cells. How could I, allow this to happen to me? And I had to tell myself, you know what, Toya, you had to take a break, because when I became diagnosed, I immediately went into PA mode, where I went to research and, trying to find the latest, data and clinical literature, and joining online, advocacy groups. But it made me very anxious. It added more mental anxiety and anguish, and I just could not get mentally healthy. It was really tearing me apart mentally. So I decided to just stop with the research, stop just researching things, stop with, in the support groups, I'm reading about all these complications and, people are dying, and I just couldn't handle it. I could not handle it. It was tearing me apart. So I decided to do what I needed to do for my mental health, and I had to take the PA hat off and just remain the patient, which was new for me. And so with that, I put my trust in my caregiver and just went to my chemo treatments and dealt with the nausea and the side effects, and I just wanted to be a patient. I could not handle being a PA and a patient simultaneously. I didn't push for a mammogram because, like so many people who look like me, we don't know our family health history. No one, my mother, my grandmother, aunts, there was no known history of breast cancer in the family. It wasn't until after I was diagnosed and after like relatives who reached out to me from California was like, oh yeah, by the way, your grandmother's aunt had breast cancer, and this one had ovarian cancer, and this one had pancreatic cancer. It's like no one wants to talk about anything in Black families. Like, it's health history is like taboo. You cannot discuss it. And so if I had known that I did have, this high risk health history, I would have demanded a mammogram screening earlier. But I can attest to even myself being a PA, we're trained and that mammograms are not started until the age of 40.
I got a coach, and he said to me, who do you love the most in this world? I said, oh, of course, my daughter, Noelle. He said, is there a picture of her you can find? I'm like, fine. My entire office is covered with pictures of her and only her. And he said, okay, find the one you like the most. And I got the picture, and he said, look at her. And he said, the way you just talk to yourself, would you want this beautiful child to carry that burden? I started bawling my eyes out because I just was carrying so much of that. I thought, oh my God, I would never want her to feel that way. I want her to feel that she knew what she knew when she knew it. And then once she knew, she made a difference. And she became an advocate. And she's now still in treatment, which you are, and sharing her story and getting it on the national platforms. And she's brave, and she's strong, and she's beautiful. And she's making a difference with her difference, So someone gave me that gift 15 years ago, so I want to give it to you right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, because I needed that, and I'm still trying to really, it's a hard thing to fight, because, I don't want to call myself a perfectionist. I'm no one is perfect, but I guess because like I'm saying, as a healthcare provider, I don't know if there's more blame, or I'm feeling that more blame, but I go through different periods of it where I'm like, okay, no, it happened and I just have to deal with it. But, it can happen to anyone. And that's the reason why we're here, right? It's happening to us. It's happening to young Black women. So regardless of your background, it can definitely happen. And I wanted to say this because I wanted this may reach someone uniquely in my position. The reason why in my situation I felt the lump, and then I had the mammogram and sonogram the next month. But when I felt the lump, I had just recently stopped breastfeeding about 5 to 6 months ago. That is what I'm like, okay, Latoya, this is the rationale behind it. This is like now the PA hat coming back on, and now the mother hat coming back on. It's like, okay, Your breasts are lumpy bumpy because you're breastfeeding. You just stopped breastfeeding 6 months ago. I had stage 3C invasive ductal carcinoma. This is a milk duct cancer. So that's how it's going to grow, and it can be a great deceiver. And so I'm just thinking that this is just lumpy bumpy. At the time that I was diagnosed, I was still expressing milk, even though I had stopped feeding my 1-year-old. So that's how it was really able to creep up on me. And I want women to know, if you're pregnant, there is pregnancy associated breast cancers. And you can develop pregnancy associated breast cancers even up until your child postpartum 5 years. There is still a linkage between that. So even though you're pregnant and or breastfeeding, you are still at risk of having breast cancer. If something does not feel right, or if this lump is persistent, or like Ms. Kim said, is asymmetrical, is not on the same side, and just get checked out, and don't let them tell you, no, it's just a enlarged milk cyst, or it'll go away. No, I've met so many women who has been diagnosed during pregnancy, or in my situation, just finished breastfeeding. And I was actually misdiagnosed the first time around. I was misdiagnosed as having a milk cyst. The radiologist did not even want to proceed with my mammogram. He came out and talked to me. He was like, no, you're 36. We'll just do the sign. No, you don't need some mammogram. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm almost butterball naked now. Just go ahead and just do the mammogram. Just go ahead and do it. And he did not want to do the mammogram because of my age, because of my breastfeeding history. But in that instance, hindsight 2020, it's like, okay, I'm glad I advocated for myself. And, listen, you have the order, and I need you to perform the order. My doctor already ordered it. And I posted a video saying of that same thing that happened, and there was a 23-year-old young lady who had a similar situation, and she said, "Listen, I'm having trouble trying to find a radiology center that will perform my mammogram. Everyone is turning me away because of my age, and that is not their position. You have that order. Their job is to perform and interpret that study. It's not their job to say whether or not you should still have the study." Breast cancer, and especially black breast cancer, does not fit the typical profile of an old 75-year-old woman. That is that perspective of people, including the healthcare provider community. We have to retrain the healthcare provider community to know that this is no longer, the prototype. Breast cancer is not an old person's disease. It can happen to any one of us. And at the end of the day, you need to definitely advocate for yourself if you feel something is wrong.
And there's a thing, I believe, as black breast cancer. I think our breast cancer is different from other races, and it has to be studied uniquely and differently and with more focus. I tell people that cancer survivors and breast cancer advocates have a unique position. You have to constantly, like I said before, you see the fire, you run out of the fire because you're burning. And you beat yourself, get yourself clean, or kind of even just get the fire off, and you're still in pain. And you look back. Every time you all look back and say, who's coming behind me? Who has to hear my story? You live that story again and again and again. You live that trauma again and again and again. And you put your life in, you go back to pull people out of the fire, and that's a very admirable thing to do, Yeah. But the work is important because people need to hear your voices, because black women don't know they can get breast cancer, that they are a heightened risk, that we're dying at a 40% higher rate, that we get delayed, dismissed, denied. But I just want to thank you both for bringing your soul to the conversation. I admire that you both are just so open. We need more women who are, know the facts, but who are open in a heart-based way to help women who are coming after us to understand what they're facing, and that although things are hard, you have to still adhere to your treatment. You got to still talk to your sisters about it. Your April, talk to you. So if you have friends out there, for all those who are watching, talk to your sister about breast health, the importance of doing her monthly breast examinations, the importance of getting her annual examination, the importance of, if she has a lump, discharge, an abnormal discoloration, something that your gut always knows when it's not right. Go see your doctor. If they dismiss you, fire them summarily, find somebody else because they work for you. And don't stop till you have the right answers. And also, you're never wrong. I don't care if you're a doctor or a nurse or whoever. It's not your fault you have cancer. And you're not alone. You're never alone. You have all of us here to help you at Tiger Lily. You have a safe space at Breathe TV. And we love you. We were grounded in love. We're based in sacred space. And we're here to hold a space for all of you. So thanks for watching this today. Thanks for joining us for the meditation, for the sound bath. Thanks for joining both of our amazing, beautiful angel advocates today. And until then, take care of yourself, love yourself, hug yourself for me. We love you so much, and we're holding a space for all of you. Until next time, bye for now, and we'll see you soon.